Alrighty, so every now and then I come across a post on the forums that is actually halfway decent and worth talking about. And so I came across this one. I'll move my cam back over here for the time being, but I'll have to move it back over there whenever we get into the actual video part. But yeah, it's a guy coming up with saying he posted a forum post, and it's 7 Deadly Sins will never collab with Naruto or JoJo, a rant to end all the coping and crush your dreams. And I think that this is really funny because I do see a lot of stuff about like different things like that in the community as well, where people are like, oh man, it would be so cool if people collabed with, Dragon Ball or, One Piece or whatever. And although I do like those franchises and I would like to see those as collaborations, the odds of it happening are very slim. And by that, I mean basically non-existent, because he goes, I don't know how much, credit there is to this guy. I don't know how actually accurate this information is, but he goes through and says, most of these are owned by Shonen Jump and others and are in direct competition with Kodansha, which are the people who actually publish the 7 Deadly Sins as a manga and magazine publicist. And then he says, the reason we got Slime Collab, ReZero, AOT is all for one reason. Kodansha makes profit. In order to loan the IP holdings of another game distribution company or publisher, Netmarble would need to pay an exorbitant amount of money and PR in order for it to even be worth Bandai Namco, Shueisha, and Jump's time. The show is aired exclusively in the US through Netflix, hence the Stranger Things collab, and KOF is at least developed directly through Netmarble. So they basically have ties to all of these, franchises that they've already done collaborations with and everything like that. And he was nice enough to say, if you are curious on what projects could be potential collaborations, you can see the reference list here, which is a list of manga published by Kodansha, which we're going to be looking at some of the ones that I have picked out. We're not going to go through the entire list because it ends in 2021 and it starts in 1931, and I've never even heard of anything before like 2004, so we're definitely not going through the entire thing, but there are some honorable mentions on there. So yeah, we're gonna move on from this post. Very thankful for just this link mostly, but honestly, I mean, he has a good point. Everybody, not that it's bad. He even says down here, he says, also, I understand some people just want to have fun with collaboration ideas, and that's totally awesome. I just can't say how many times I actually hear people saying how cool a Demon Slayer collab would be. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. A lot of the franchises that are popular right now aren't owned by Kodansha, or they have no ties whatsoever through the higher ups or any sort of affiliation with the 7 Deadly Sins. So it would be really hard for them to become a collab. Like, it would take a lot of money, a lot of planning, a lot of time, a lot of communication between companies and this and that, which collaborations already take a ton of effort to put together, and that's even with the ones that we have. As far as they've said in developer notes and stuff like that, it seems like it's a ton of work, and I'm sure it is. I don't work in the industry, but I can only imagine. So the actual manga list itself is very long, very lengthy, lot of titles in here. Just to mention, I didn't actually know that the manga for Attack on Titan was published in 2009. That feels like forever ago, because when I was in high school in 2010 through 2014 was when I think the first season of the anime came out. I think it came out my either sophomore or junior year, and everybody was talking about the first season of Attack on Titan, so it's kind of crazy to see that it's that far back. But either way, I've already picked out some titles from stuff that I personally know of or that I've even heard of. A lot of these titles, I don't know if they even have anime adaptations. I don't know how popular they are, or if they'll even get an anime adaptation, or whatever the case may be, but I can only assume that they would try to collaborate with a well-established IP that would bring in traffic. So I've picked out the ones that I think could be potential collabs. Obviously, I'm not a manga guru or anything like that, so a lot of these things that I'm glancing over could end up being hidden gems or things that are popular that maybe I just haven't heard of or don't know of. So either way, we're going to move on. We're going to start with Fairy Tail, which is actually before 2009, but I just so happened to scroll up far enough to actually see it. And yeah, I think Fairy Tail is a pretty interesting one. You can't even see the manga picture over here on the right. I'll try to, can I don't think there's a really good way for me to resize this right now, but maybe we can just pull it over like this. That should do. You can at least see a little bit of it. So yeah, Fairy Tail is pretty popular. I remember there was one mobile game that I was playing not too long ago. It was like a year or two ago. I cannot remember the name of it. I think it was Valkyrie Connect, I think, was the one that I played, because they actually had a collab with the Seven Deadly Sins, and that was the one where I actually did a video summoning for Escanor, but it wasn't on Grand Cross, which actually did amazingly well somehow. I don't know how that video did so well, but yeah, they actually did a collaboration with Fairy Tail, and I don't remember who they had because I hadn't watched Fairy Tail at the time, but at this point in time I have completely finished the main Fairy Tail story. I've not watched any of the movies or anything like that, but I've watched all 329 episodes of the actual, like, the anime itself, and I even have volume 1 of the manga, so I have this one right here, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I think Fairy Tail would be honestly pretty interesting. There's like a pretty like tight set cast for the main team throughout the entire, you know, show or manga, so I don't think it would be very hard. They wouldn't have to do a whole lot of like choosing between, like, oh, should this character get added or this character or whatever the case may be. Like I think there's like 4 or 5 like main characters, at least in the very beginning of the show, so it wouldn't be hard for them to just pick 4 or even 5. I think most of the time collabs are 4 characters, but, you know, just picking those characters and then, you know, bringing them over, you know, having to model them and do their animations and skills and stuff like that. But I thought Fairy Tail was a pretty interesting one. I thought that one, it's a little bit on the older side, but Fairy Tail still seems to have like quite a big fan base to it, at least from my understanding. I don't know, I could be wrong on that, but it's a little bit older, but I think it finished more recently and has like some newer stuff within at least like the last couple of years, so it's not like super popular at the moment or anything. I don't necessarily think that it would be a great option for a collab, but Fairy Tail's kind of cool. Next up is Eden Zero, which is actually the manga made by the same person who makes Fairy Tail, but this is his new ongoing series, which I think is a really cool one as well. I think they've just started to do like anime stuff for it as well, and I think the first 24 episodes or something like that are out on Netflix. There could be more than that by now because I just haven't kept up with it as much, but I've watched like 20 episodes or so of it, and it's honestly pretty cool as well. I don't necessarily know if they would choose this one over Fairy Tail because this one's maybe not as established yet, but this one's pretty cool as well. Just like I said, some of these are only the mangas that I even knew of or have heard of, so it's not, maybe these aren't great picks. I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, Eden Zero might not be a great collab, but it's new. It's pretty popular at the moment, so could be kind of cool. Next up, we actually have, well, this one is not a great page here. It is supposed to be Princess Connect Redrive, which is a gacha game actually that was made by, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's published by Crunchyroll, made by Cygames as well, which is kind of cool. Yeah, Crunchyroll Games is the publisher, I'm pretty sure. So this one's like an ongoing gacha game. I think I've actually already even played it on the channel a little bit, but because it's another gacha game, I think that this one could potentially be like a halfway decent collab because they could just swap some of the characters, you know, just pick 4 characters from their game and then pick, you know, a couple of Seven Deadly Sins character, and they could do like a crossover event or something like that. I know that certain games do that, where if both of the IPs already have a game going, they'll just swap some of the, you know, characters and implement implement them into the game as a collaboration, which I think might kind of work, maybe. I don't know. I don't really like the play style of Princess Connect, so I didn't really play it all that much, but some of the characters are really cool, like from the official art and stuff like that I've seen, and from the small bit that I've actually played of the game. Some of the characters were kind of cool. I don't know which ones are like good enough or like interesting enough for them to want to like bring over to our game, but I don't know, man. Yeah, either way. How'd that get in there? Next up, we have Fate Grand Order, which I actually know very little about Fate. I know that there's like 1,001 different like Fate subcategories or whatever. Like this is Fate Grand Order. First Order. I know that there's like Fate Day, Night, something, this, that. I don't know. There's like 1,001 different Fates. I've never really gotten into Fate. I don't know anything about it. At some point, I might end up watching it. But I know that a lot of people, whenever there was like small signs of there being a Fate collab in the game, like I know that there was some like game files that came out and they like had the Fate title or whatever under them, and people were like, oh my god, Fate collab. And people got pretty excited about that. So I know that this is quite a popular franchise. I don't necessarily know which one they would like want to collab with, I guess, if that is even how that would happen. This was the only collab the only Fate title that I even seen in the list, to be honest. I didn't see any other Fate titles. So I don't know if this is just one of many or if this ties into the rest of them or what the deal is, but this one is on there. So Fate? Question mark? I don't know. Either way, moving on. This one is actually one that I would be really excited to see. So Fire Force is one. I actually own the very first copy of this as well, because I've watched the first 2 seasons of the anime, because that's all that's out at the moment. I think we're waiting on season 3 of this one to come out, but this one is super cool. I think this one is another one kind of like Fairy Tail, where it's a pretty close-knit cast of characters, at least in the first season or 2, where it wouldn't be hard for them to sort of just grab the main characters and stuff like that. Easily grab 4 of them and implement them in. I think that the art style and stuff like that wouldn't be too terribly different for them to just easily implement the characters and stuff. I think they would look really good in the game. It's a bit more fantasy and stuff like that, with their like sort of like fire powers and stuff like that. So that would be really cool to see. I think that they would make really fun and interesting characters in the game. Not sure how well it would actually be received or not. I don't know how actually popular Fire Force is, but from every time I look up when season 3 is coming out, or if there's any sort of news on season 3, the vibe that I get is that the show is pretty popular, and people want to see the next season of it. I've even thought about trying to buy like the rest of the manga for this one, because I just really like this one a lot. So I personally would love to see Fire Force in, and I was actually kind of surprised that it was on the list of manga that they published, even though I have the manga, so I should have known that it was published by Kodansha, because it says it on the spine of the book. But yeah, I think this one's really cool, one that I would actually be super excited about. But yeah, we only have one more, which is Shaman King. I don't know anything about Shaman King, actually. The only reason it's on here is because I've heard of it, and I think that it's pretty popular. Like I said, I'm not a manga guru or anything like that. I don't know how actually popular this is. But I have heard of Shaman King, and I think that it is pretty well established. It at least has a manga, or it's a manga that at least has a anime adaptation, which means that it has to be somewhat popular. But I don't know much about this one at all. If you have any info or anything, or maybe tell me I should watch it or something like that, because it does seem kind of cool. Hey, look, that man just got off a game. But yeah, I think that this one could be neat. I don't know much about the characters or anything. From what I understand, I think I've seen just a little bit about it. I think the characters are a little like short. So I don't know how good they would look in the game as characters, because they're just like, they seem like they're really short with like big heads, kind of like that's just like the art style or like the stylization that they've done with the characters, and nothing against that or anything. I just don't know how good that they would look if they were transferred into Seven Deadly Sins and like it adapted that art style to it. I don't know. It might not look good is all I'm trying to say here. So I don't know. That's the last one. Pretty much all I've got for you. I just thought it would be kind of interesting to look at some of the ones that they at least owned and have a decent chance of becoming some sort of some sort of possible collab / crossover, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, if you have any thoughts or suggestions, any sort of info on any of these, or you know, I'll leave the link to this Wikipedia page down in the description below, so that way maybe if you're a little bit more knowledgeable on some of these titles than I am, you might be able to actually look through them and see if there's something on here that you like, or you know, whatever. So obviously they have Slime. They have Attack on Titan, you know, they have, you know, some of the other ones that we've already gotten collabs for, because like I said, and like he said in this post, they are already made by the same, you know, publisher and everything. So very interesting. I don't know, but yeah, thanks so much for watching. I know this was a little bit different, weird internet video instead of it being like in game or whatever, but that's it. So thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to subscribe if you have not already, and I'll see you in the next one.